And today we are going to be building a snowman in Blender. So the first thing that you're going to want to do is create a new project. And whenever you start a new project, you're going to have this little cube here, and we're going to go ahead and delete it. Now let's create a plane. Add mesh plane. We're adding a plane. And then I'm going to go down to my scale tool and I'm going to scale this out. I can either grab the white and drag it out. I can grab the inner white and drag it out. It does it even faster. So now I've got a plane going there. So we have a basic surface on which to work. Looking over here, we see that our little cursor here is at 0, 0, 0, and that's where our plane is set. That tells us it's flat on zeros. That's good. All right. Now we're going to build a snowman today. So snowmen are made up of snowballs here. So we're going to get some spheres. So I'm going to go to Add Mesh Sphere. Okay, that's UV sphere. Add Mesh Sphere. And again, I'm in object mode. Add Mesh Sphere. And I'm going to pull this guy up by going to my Move tool and bring it up so that it's sitting somewhere on our plane. Okay, I've got one snowball. I'm going to then go down here to my materials properties, and I'm going to make it into a white snowball. Boom, boom, good. So now if I go to this mode here, it is white. I can right-click and shade smooth. Now it kind of looks like a snowball. Okay, in case you missed the materials, I went down here to my materials properties and changed the base color to white. All right, now that I have one, I'm going to go back. I'm still in my object mode, and I'm going to duplicate this. Shift-D should duplicate. If I hit just duplicate, there, I got my another snowball. Now, I'm just going to go up and kind of put it on top. I'm using my Move tool here, going all the way around, making sure that it's exactly where I want it. And then, of course, usually as you go up on a snowman, the second one's a little smaller, so I'm going to scale this guy down. Scale, again, still all in object mode. And to scale it down, you don't want to grab one of these handles because it will distort it. It'll make it like bloop, bloop, something like that. Do not want that. So I'm going to grab the white circle in here just to scale the whole thing down a little bit. And that looks pretty decent. I might move it down slightly. So it's kind of in that other one, kind of sitting on it. Looks nice. You go to some of these other modes to see it. Wireframe. I'm going to stick with that. That may be easiest to see right now. All right. Then what are we going to do? Well, we've got to add a top to this. So I'm going to Shift-D or right-click and duplicate objects again. Drag this little guy up above. Scale it down. That easily, we have our snowman. Uh-oh, looks a little wonky. I'm going to click on these to check. This way it looks okay. This way, not so much. So I'm going to select it, and I'm going to move it. There. That feels a little bit better. Nice. All righty. So now I'm going to add a face onto this guy. Actually, let's add the hat. Hat's kind of a fun thing. So first thing, I'm going to take this cursor, and I'm just going to move my cursor over. Hello. Cursor tool. I'm just click on the cursor and click somewhere where I want to put it. I'm just moving it over to the side for right now, just so that it's out of the way. Right, because I'm going to now add, I don't have anything selected. If you do have something selected, just click off of it down here. I'm going to add a cylinder. Add mesh cylinder. Okay, right now it's kind of not exactly where I want it, but that's okay. I'm going to go to my move tool and I'm going to lift it on up and go straight onto it. Again, if you hit these little move tools here, if I hit X or Y, I'm looking at it from the side or the front. If I hit Z, I'm looking straight over top. Okay, so I just want to look at the side of it for right now. And it looks pretty good. Go back to the side. Now I'm going to add a loop cut. So this is for the first time I'm going to go into my edit mode. You can hit tab on your keyboard or you can just go to edit. And we're going to go all the way down and do a loop cut. We did these on the treasure chest. Loop cut. And I want a horizontal one. As soon as I float my cursor over here, it's going to give me the option. I'm going to click and hold. Don't just click. If you just click, it's going to be stuck right there. That's not what we want. So I'm going to click and drag down. Boom, just like that. Okay. And what I'm making here is a top hat. So on this top hat, let me zoom in on it. I'm going to want to pull this bottom part out. So I've got to select all those faces. So I'm going to go back up to my select box. And I'm going to go to faces. The face select. You could go around and hold shift and select every one. But what's so much easier is if you hold alt and click, it's going to select all those around there for you. I'm going to zoom out a touch. We can see what we're doing. There we go. All right. Next thing I'm going to do is extrude. Now check this. If I just hit extrude, it's going to come out like that. That is not what we want. Well, maybe if we want like a baseball hat, like a snapback, we could do something like that. That would be cool. But instead, I'm going to click and hold on extrude, and I'm going to extrude along normals. What that's going to do is it's going to push everything out. At first, it was pushing it in. Push everything out. And now I've got my top hat. There's the top hat that's going on our snowman. Okay, if you want, we could go underneath of this thing. I'm going to go back to object mode. I'm going to lift it up. If we wanted to, we go to wireframe. If we wanted to, we could actually push up through there. I'm going beneath a plane. I'm going to turn the plane off so that we won't see it. If I wanted to, I could go into edit mode. You don't have to do this, but see how we have this center circle in there? We can extrude that up. Go back to regular. Got to make sure I have it selected, though. We could extrude that up. And now we have a little nice hollow hat. Again, don't have to do that. All right. Now let's give it a color. So we go back down to our material properties. And I'm going to select new, color. We'll just make it a nice black hat. Assign that. Good. Then I can right-click it. Sorry, got to be in object mode. I can right-click it, and I can shade smooth. There we go. So now I've got our nice-looking top hat. If we want, we can also go down here. I know my picture's in the way, but we can mess around with some of these so you can get, a slightly different look. I don't really like the metallic look so much on that. And it's really bright in the light right now. It's really close to the light. Maybe bring the roughness up a little bit, something like that. Okay, and then I'm going to move this and put it over top of my snowman. Goes straight to the side, and we can see where it's going to be. Right now, it's huge. This is when that X and Y comes in really handy. You can just hit X and Y and adjust both that way. If I go Z over top, you can see it's right over top of my guy right now. Okay, but I do want to shrink it down. And again, you do not want to grab the handles for this. You want to grab the circle because the circle will do everything proportionally. So I shrink down my top hat. That looks pretty good. Not too shabby. And I'm going to move it, and I'll move it kind of down onto the guy's head a little bit. So there, now we've got our snowman with a top hat. Okay, what else does a snowman need? How about eyes, nose, 2 eyes, a button nose? Although I like carrot noses. All right, let's make some eyes. So make eyes out of coal, right? And coal, if you've never seen it, it's just kind of chunky thing. I think charcoal, we used to, when I made them when I was little, would get charcoal like that you use for a grill if you have a charcoal grill. So let's add a mesh. Let's add a cube. We'll start with just a cube. And I'm going to shrink the cube down, just scale it down a little bit. Let me get right to that cube. Okay, then on this cube, I'm going to turn my plane back on. Move my cube up. Okay. On this cube, then, I'm going to bevel it. Actually, first of all, yeah, let me bevel it. So I'm going to go to Edit mode and all the way down to Bevel. And then I'm just going to drag this. Ooh, you can make all sorts of nifty shapes. I'm going to just drag it something like that. Okay. Then I'm going to change back to my scale tool. And I'm going to go just on one side and scale it in. And now I have kind of what could be a lump of coal. Go back to my object mode. There's my little lump of coal. Let's go to our materials, new, and coal is black or dark gray. So there's my little lump of coal. Right click it, shade it smooth. So now I've got a lump of coal. And I'm going to move it over to my snowman. Boom. Boom. Way out in front. Go over top. Move it in. Now, that is way too large. So I'm going to scale it down again, grabbing the circle to scale it down. That looks pretty darn good. Maybe a little bit more. Then I can move this guy around. There's one eye. I'm going to duplicate it. Remember, Shift D or right click and duplicate. And now I've got 2 eyes. Now, if I'm looking at it straight on, that looks super duper, but watch, as soon as I turn, remember this is 3D. Oop. These eyes are sticking way off to the front. So we've got a little problem. So I'm going to take that and slide it on back. I'm going to take this one and slide it on back. And you kind of have to be careful because you're adding these onto a sphere. So they're not going to sit flat. So what we're going to have to do is rotate them slightly. So I'm going to get my rotate tool. In this case, I just want to grab the blue here to rotate side to side. Like that. And then maybe a little bit on the red to rotate like that. And I believe that'll be pretty much sitting right on. Yeah. You can have it go into the snow a little bit. Now I'm going to go to this guy. Do the same thing. Kind of make sure that it's not Actually, I may move him first. Let me go back into the snow just a wee little bit. That's probably good. All right, there. Now it's sticking out a little bit, and I can rotate it. And I can rotate back. So it's kind of sitting into the snow. That looks great. Okay, so now I've got my guy. He's got his charcoal eyes. He's got his top hat. Needs a carrot for a nose. Well, a carrot is basically a cone. Add mesh cone. There's our cone. Let me undo that. Probably best practice if I move this cursor up a little bit before I add, because remember, whenever you add something, it's going to add it right to where that cursor is. Okay. Now I'm going to go straight over top of this, looking straight down on it, and I want to shrink that thing. So I'm going to scale it, and I'm going to try to scale it. I'll scale the whole thing down. Then I'm going to look at it from the front, and I'm just going to grab this to scale it up. Okay, that way it has a really thin base, but I can make it taller and longer. Now I want to rotate it. That's going to be my carrot. We'll move it over to our snow person. Again, these different modes here, if I'm looking straight over top, I can line it up straight over top of my guy. It's coming out of his head. And then I can go down here and move it this way. So now he's got something going right there. That's really kind of large. I'm going to rotate it slightly down. I can, again, scale it down, scale the whole thing down if I want. Move it. That looks pretty good. Okay, then I'm going to go to my materials properties. Add a new material. Change the color, and let's change it to an orange. This is going to be a carrot. Kind of a nice dark orange. Maybe not that dark. That looks nice. All right. If you want, you could add coal. Duplicate that. You could add coal buttons. Going down. And then, of course, you're going to want to push these back in. And maybe even rotate those slightly so that they're just sitting on. Pull that out just a bit. Okay, this one's a little wonky. Sometimes the rotate just gets a little bit off. There we go. Okay, so I've got my snowman. And you could put a mouth in there if you want as well. Now, how about some arms? You get this much, I'm going to be super stoked. I'm going to be pretty darn happy with you. But let's add some arms. Arms can be a challenge. So, add mesh. We're going to start with a cylinder. And I'm going to rotate this guy. Start rotating it, and I'm going to type in 90 degrees. And that was down here when you make a cylinder. Okay. And I'm going to shrink it way down. And I'm going to scale it out this way. That's my little stick arm. Okay, then I'm just going to move it over to our snow person here. Boom, boom. Go over top, see where it is. Bam. Okay, so now we've got a stick in there. I can add a color to that. I could even, let's do this. I can go get my wood texture. So I'm going to click on this yellow circle here, get image texture, open, and wherever you've saved the wood texture, mine's on my desktop. Wood texture, open image. So now it's a wood texture. Okay. So now here's a real fun part. This is where it gets to be a challenge. So it looks like he has a little dowel sticking out. We can expand this. So I'm going to go right in here, and now I'm going to go to my edit mode. And I'm going to select it. Except I just want to select the vertex here. Go to my wireframe so we can actually see it. Okay, so it selected my plane. I want my cylinder, which is this one. Cylinder, select the vertex. Boom. For some reason, I'm not seeing that. That's great. Edit mode. There we go. Sorry, I had to go back out into object mode, deselect it, select it, go back into my edit mode for some reason. Okay, now I'm on my vertex. I'm just going to select these. I don't want the other side. And I'm going to change the angle. So I'm going to rotate. I'm going to rotate this down just a little bit. Just a little bit. And again, I just got the vertex, just got these outside ones. And then I'm going to extrude. And as I extrude, it's going to come down at that angle. So now my snowman looks like that. I know, it looks kind of weird. Go back to object mode. Maybe I want to push it in a little bit more. There we go. That looks much better. Okay, then I'm going to duplicate this one. Duplicate. And let's rotate that around. And move it back into the body. Okay, and if we wanted to, we could even rotate it this way a little bit so that both arms don't look exactly the same. There we go. So they're slightly different. And ladies and gentlemen, you have got your snowman. Maybe move my light over there. Move it over this way in front of my snowman. And now you have got a snowman. You could add a mouth if you'd like. But honestly, if you get that far, I am totally happy with that. One last thing, and I'm going to see if I can do it. That's the end of this tutorial. Okay, if you want to do that. The next one I'm going to try to show is how to make it snow in here. Alrighty. I hope you have a beautiful snow day making your snowman.